Hello and welcome to the Human Truths podcast with Heather Ogilvy. In this episode, I want to take you through a way of understanding money that removes the mystery and the fear and replaces it with something far more useful: clarity, confidence, and a practical sense of control. Most of us were never taught what money actually is and how money actually works, let alone how to value our time, our skills, or ourselves. We all inherit money beliefs from other people. We pick up habits from the environments we grow up in, and so we've formed opinions about money long before we've ever even earned any. Today is about unpicking that. It's about understanding money as a tool rather than a verdict, separating it from self-worth, and learning how to work with it in a way that feels steady, rational, and empowering. We will look at what money really is, why it's emotional, how money is created from nothing, how to price and value what you offer, how to grow your money container, why cash flow gives you confidence, and how to build a healthier, more effective relationship with money. This isn't about getting rich overnight. It's about thinking differently, feeling differently, and using your creativity and energy in ways that open the door to more financial ease. You might want to begin today with something simple. If you have a pen and paper nearby, just take a moment and place yourself somewhere on a scale of 1 to 10. 1 meaning I don't feel confident with money at all, and 10 meaning I trust myself completely. There's no judgment here, it's simply a way to notice where you're standing today. And then once you've felt into that, you can take it a step further. If you were to increase your financial comfort, what would you genuinely want? Not in a vague, gentle way, but a real, specific, grounded, practical way. Would it be more income a month? A certain figure each year? Something that would give you more breathing room or help you move towards a life that feels more spacious, more stable, more aligned? Most people, when they're asked this, shrink their desires. They ask for the modest extra 1,000 a month, just a little more, just enough not to feel nervous. But when you allow yourself to be honest, you might find there's a deeper desire, a clearer figure, something that feels truer to the polite version you were taught to reach for. And that's important, because your money confidence is shaped by what you believe is available to you. And so we move on to the next question, the one that sits quietly underneath all of this. Where did your beliefs about money come from? Because most of us didn't choose them. We absorbed them. We inherited them. Our families, our caregivers, our school systems, the environments we grow up in, they give us the very first stories about money. Some people grew up in homes where money was never spoken about except during arguments, so they learnt silence. Some grew up around scarcity and learned fear. Some grew up in homes where the message was simply, there will be enough, and that created ease even if the household wasn't wealthy. And of course there are other influences: partners, friends, teachers, parents-in-laws, cultures, politics, religion. All of these voices weave themselves into our expectations around what is acceptable to want, what is safe to ask for, and what we think we deserve. The interesting thing is that these beliefs often sit so deep that we don't even question them. We mistake them for facts. We assume they are our own, but they are not. They are echoes. Part of building money confidence is bringing those echoes into light and asking yourself whether they still belong to you, or whether it's time to create your own beliefs. So if you're listening right now, take a mental note of the top few people who shaped your early relationship with money. You don't need to analyze anything yet, just notice. This alone begins to soften the grip those old influences have on you. And when you look at the history of money, what it actually is, the whole story becomes even more interesting, because money itself isn't emotional. humans are. Money is simply a tool that humans invented. It's a token, a promissory note, a way of keeping track when two people want to swap something at different times. There's no animal in nature walking around with a wallet. There's no tree that cares about currency exchange. Money is a concept. A wonderfully useful one, but a concept all the same. Humans created it so we could trade outside our immediate circle, so we could trust strangers, so value could move across time and distance. That's all. The earliest forms of money were shells, bamboo pieces, clay tablets. Then later, coins made of metal because they were harder to fake. Today, most money exists as digital data, numbers moving on screens. And here's the part that many people don't realise. Money is not limited. It's not tied to reserves of gold. It's not capped. It grows every single day, constantly and exponentially, because we keep creating value, creating ideas, creating trade. Money is not an energy in itself. It represents the interface of an energy exchange. It marks the moment where your time, your skill, your creativity, your heartbeats meet someone else's need. That's all money is. But we give it emotion, we give it meaning, we give it fear, we give it power. And in this podcast, we're going to gently separate these things so you can see money clearly, not as a threat, not as a judge, but as a tool you can use with confidence, clarity, and choice. So once we've softened the old stories about money, we can start moving into the deeper truth. And it's one that surprises a lot of people the first time they really hear it. Money is made from nothing. That can feel almost impossible to believe at first because we've been taught to treat money as if it's something hard to obtain, a fixed object out there in the world, something you have to chase, compete for, hold tightly, manage perfectly. But when you look closely at what money actually is, you realise it has no physical reality of its own. Humans invented it, humans agreed to it, and humans continue to create more of it every single day. So the idea of chasing money becomes almost funny when you see it clearly. You can't chase something that doesn't exist in and of itself. What you're really chasing is an experience. The feeling of being valued, the feeling of being resourced, the feeling of feeling safe. But the money itself, it's simply the interface between two humans exchanging value. Money is never the thing. The exchange is the thing. The relationship is the thing. Every time you receive money, you're not actually receiving money. You're receiving someone else's appreciation for the value you have created. You're receiving the reflection of your heartbeats, your creativity, your knowledge, your experience, your presence, translated into a token that lets you go and exchange value with someone else. And this is where the truth becomes very empowering. Money is created from nothing, through human creativity, applied heartbeats, and the willingness of someone else to value what you've made. Imagine you go for a walk and you pick up a fallen branch, or some driftwood, or a handful of twigs. Nature gives you those things for free. They cost nothing. They have no inherent value in themselves. But then you add your secret ingredient, the thing that is uniquely human: creativity, energy, heartbeats, and the spark of an idea. And suddenly that stick becomes a wreath, or a tool, or a carving, or a prop, or the beginning of a much bigger creation like a boat. And someone walks by and says, "Oh, I love that, can I buy it from you?" And money is created. Not from the wood, not from the air, but from the value you infused into something that originally had none. The exact same thing happens with knowledge. You listen, you learn, you gather ideas, you experience things, you become skillful. None of that costs anything in its raw form. Human knowledge is free until you apply it, and once you've applied it, it becomes valuable. Knowledge plus creativity becomes a course, a book, a healing session, a website, a business plan, a painting, a piece of writing, a moment of guidance, a solution that someone else needs deeply. And the moment another human says, I value that, I want that, I'll exchange for that, money comes into existence. So money is made from nothing. But not in the sense of magic or wishful thinking. It's made from your heartbeats, your ideas, your willingness to bring something into the world that didn't exist before you touched it. And every person you interact with is doing the same. Someone creates a piece of jewellery. Someone else designs a website. Someone else grows food. Someone else builds a business. Someone else writes a song. We are all making something from nothing. And when value meets value, money moves. This is why the monetary system keeps expanding, why economies grow, why the world keeps generating more wealth, because humans are endlessly creating, and trade creates money. Here's the part I really want you to hear. Money is not created by qualifications, or grades, or status, or family background. It is created when you take your knowledge, your energy, your creativity, your heartbeats, and you apply them to someone else's problem, desire, or need. That's it. That's the entire mechanism. Good grades might give you confidence. A degree might give you access. Status might open a door or two. But none of these things create value on their own. Value is created when you apply yourself, when you solve something, when you make something easier for someone else, when you bring something into the world that didn't exist before you. And once you see this clearly, money stops feeling like this mysterious force that somehow people get and others don't. You begin to understand that money is simply a reflection of how you apply your energy and how you value what you bring into the table. So if you've been taught to chase money, or wait for money, or hope for money, you can set that down now. Money isn't the thing to chase. Remember, it doesn't actually exist. Creativity, contribution, alignment, value, those are the things to focus on. Chase the part of you that creates. Money meets you there. So if money is just an IOU note, if it is a tool, a token, a neutral interface between people, why does it feel so hard and emotional? Because for most people, money is one of the most emotionally charged topics in their entire life. On paper, it looks simple. In reality, it touches almost everything. And one of the biggest reasons is this. Most of us were never taught how to truly value ourselves. We grow up in systems where our value is often reflected back to us in the form of a wage, a job title, a performance review, a promotion or the lack of one, and we quietly internalize the message. This is what I'm worth. This number. We let other people decide our monetary value, and then, without even realizing it, we start to blur the line between what I earn and what I am worth as a human being. But here's the truth we need to anchor into. No one is ever actually valuing you. They are valuing what you provide. They are valuing your skills, your experience, your attitude, your presence, your results, as those things appear to them in a certain role, at a certain moment, in a certain market. That's it. They're not qualified to tell you your ultimate potential, your future, or your real worth. They're simply pricing what you bring to them right now. When you go for a salary, or ask for a raise, or set a price for your work, that number is not a verdict on your soul. It is a reflection of what someone else believes your contribution is worth to their world. And this is where your power begins to come back. Because if you know that, you can stop asking, what am I worth? and start asking, what is the fair market value of what I'm offering here? What is the going rate for this kind of work in this environment? What would an aligned, respectful number be for me and for them? If you're a hairdresser, for example, you're not selling yourself, you're selling a haircut. The question isn't, am I allowed to charge this much? The question is, what does my market charge for this level of skill and experience, and where do I want to sit within that? And very often, especially for people who have been conditioned to minimize themselves, the instinct is to go low, to undercut, to make it easier for everyone else and harder for ourselves. But it isn't about being nice or not charging too much. It's about honouring the true value of the service in the context of the market and not shrinking because you feel uncomfortable asking. Sometimes you will still choose to take less because you need the job or you want the experience or you're building something new. That's okay. The key is not to turn that decision into a story of being less than. You can say yes for practical reasons and still know internally, next time I will ask for more. Next time I will expand my container. Negotiation is a skill. It is uncomfortable for many people, especially those socialized to be agreeable. But it is part of having a healthy relationship with money. And then we add another layer, which is where it becomes even more emotional. Money is objective, subjective, and perspective-based all at the same time. Objectively, a £10 or $10 note is a £10 or $10 note. A $100 bill is a $100 bill. We've all agreed on that. So in that sense, money is objective. The system gives it a number, and that number doesn't change on the face of the note. But subjectively, that same £1,000 or $1,000 can feel completely different in two people with similar bank balances. One person may experience £1,000 as an enormous, almost unimaginable amount, a big, scary, once-in-a-while sum. Another may see it as a small shift. Oh, great! Now I've got 11,000 instead of 10. Same number, different nervous system, different emotional histories. And then there's perspective. This is about how easy or hard that amount feels to obtain. Some people carry the belief that that $1,000 is incredibly hard to come by. Others genuinely feel, I can create another 1,000 pretty easily when I decide to. And those beliefs are often shaped by our past experiences, our upbringing, the kind of work we've done, the environments we've been in. So when you try to talk to someone about money, you're not just talking about numbers. You're bumping up against their subjectivity and their perspective as well as your own. That's why conversations with friends, family, partners or colleagues can be so emotionally charged. Everyone is bringing a completely different emotional landscape to the table. Layered underneath all of that are beliefs. Beliefs are simply thoughts you keep thinking. If you keep thinking, I never have enough, your nervous system treats that as truth. If you keep thinking, I'm bad with money, your behavior will follow. If you keep thinking $1,000 is a huge, scary amount, then your body will respond as if that's reality. Change the belief and slowly, gently, your relationship with money begins to change. And then we come to perhaps the most important piece of all. Money is a relationship. It is the second longest relationship you will ever have in your life. Longer than any romantic relationship, longer than any friendship, longer even than your relationship with food. You were born into a world where money already exists. You arrived into an inherited relationship with it, through your parents, your caregivers, your culture. And you will be in relationship with money for as long as you are here. There is no part of your life that is entirely untouched by it. The only relationship that lasts longer is the one that you have with yourself, so it pays to have a very good self-loving relationship. If you think about it that way, it suddenly makes sense that it feels so loaded, doesn't it? Because if you carry low self-esteem, old wounds, or a deep sense of not enough, it is very tempting to use money as the measuring stick or the reason. To try to fix inner self-worth wounds with the outer money worth. We substitute money worth for self-worth. We look to the bank balances for reassurance about who we are, and that is where the pain really starts. When you begin to see money for what it is, a practical, neutral tool, a token of exchange, a reflection of value created, and a relationship that will walk beside you for your entire life, you realize it absolutely pays to cultivate a good relationship with it. Not an obsessive one, not a fearful one, but a respectful, steady, conscious relationship where you know your own value, you understand the market you are in, and you no longer confuse a number on a screen with the truth of who you are. So once we understand what money actually is, remember it's a tool, a concept, a marker between two people exchanging value. The natural question becomes, all right, so how do I change this? How do I shift my relationship with money if it feels tangled or emotional or difficult? And the very first thing you need to realize is this: you don't need to chase money. You need to chase exchange or trade. You need to chase creation, service, contribution, the things that naturally bring money towards you. Money arrives as a result of connection with people. Money appears when value meets value. Money moves when we find the right people to trade with. And yes, that's often the hardest part. Not the creating, not the learning, not even the pricing, but finding the people who truly value what you bring. You don't need the whole world to see your worth, you only need the right people, and that's enough. But let's talk about the emotional side, because this is where everything becomes more delicate, more human, and more true. Your self-worth is a feeling. It lives inside your body. No one else can generate it for you. Someone else can inspire you, encourage you, remind you, hurt you, ignore you, but they cannot feel your feelings for you. They cannot give you happiness from the outside. They cannot take your worth away unless you hand it to them. Self-worth is internal. Feelings are internal. Happiness is internal. Hurt is internal. Money is external. They must never be woven together. Money is a piece of paper, or these days a cluster of numbers on a bank screen. It doesn't live inside your body. It sits entirely outside of you. And this is why chasing money to feel enough never works. If you chase money to fill a hole inside you, the hole never fills. You will always undervalue yourself. You will always feel behind. You will always interpret every financial moment as proof of your worth or proof of your lack. But if you chase money because you want more joy, more freedom, more experiences, more beauty in your life, well, that's different. That's cleaner, that's more healthy, that's more fun. You're allowed to want beautiful things. You're allowed to want more experiences, more creativity, more travel, more adventures, more laughter, more comfort. You've just been trained to feel guilty about that. Release the guilt. Desire is not a sin. It's guidance from your soul. And if you want to feel happier, work on feeling happier. Not through money, through self-worth. 5 minutes a day telling yourself, I am enough, will rewire your brain. Science backs this. Repetition builds identity, and identity builds emotional safety. Think of it like taking your mind to the gym. Small, consistent repetitions build strength. When you build your internal worth, you no longer need money to hold you up emotionally. You can be happy and rich. You can be happy and not rich. You can be unhappy and rich. You can be unhappy and poor. Money does not create happiness. Happiness comes from the inside, and money amplifies what is already there. Which brings us back to the heart of this. Money is the midpoint of a trade. It is the marker in the middle of a swap. You bring your heartbeats, your skills, your creativity, your ideas, your time, and someone else brings something they've created with their heartbeats, their skills, their creativity, their ideas, their time. And the token in the middle is money. It's never about your worth. It is always about the value of the exchange. And this is where self-loyalty comes in. The decision to honour your own worthiness instead of looking to someone else to confirm it. Every single person you meet has resources you don't have, and you have resources they don't have. Life is one big swap. You give what you can create, and they give what they can create. And if it's a good match, the exchange feels fair. But undervaluing yourself breaks the system. Overgiving breaks the system. Undercutting breaks the system. Giving everything for free, unless it's a strategic choice, devalues the entire ecosystem of fair trade. Generosity has a place. Strategy has a place. But self-sacrifice is not generosity, it's depletion. When you price yourself fairly, you support yourself and you support the entire system. When you walk away from something that doesn't feel fair, you protect your energy and you keep the structure of value intact. Your body will tell you when a price is wrong. Tension means too low. Ease means that's right. Then there's the emotional trap that catches so many people: comparison. You can use your precious heartbeats to look sideways at what other people have, their skills, their success, their possessions, and drain yourself with jealousy, envy, or despair. Comparison kills joy and jealousy destroys friendships. Or you can use that tiny spark of jealousy as information. If something in you whispers, "I want that too," that's not failure, that's desire from your soul, that's growth. It's your soul pointing you towards the next version of yourself. Instead of fixating on what someone else has, you can ask, what is the version of this that is meant for me? And then you build that. Or the rarest thing, you can simply stop looking at everyone else entirely and pour all of your energy into creating your dream life, quietly, steadily, joyfully, without reference to anyone else. Difficult, yes, but deeply freeing. And this is the shift. You use your heartbeats, your energy, your time, your creativity to build a life that feels aligned, meaningful, and true. You stop chasing money and start honouring exchange. You stop trying to feel worthy through numbers and other people's accolades, and you start feeling worthy through truth. When you change your focus, you change your money confidence. It moves from fear and comparison into clarity and calm self-respect. And from that place, money begins to meet you far more easily. At some point, we have to accept that more money really is a choice. You can use your precious heartbeat staring at what everyone else has and feeling small, or you can use those same heartbeats to build something beautiful for yourself. Sitting in resentment or comparison is a total waste of your time, heartbeats, effort, and your life force. It doesn't move you forward. It just keeps you circling in the same emotional trap. So I want to offer you a simple visual that you can come back to time and time again. Something you can literally draw out whenever you feel tangled with money or the future. If you can, imagine yourself drawing an infinity sign, that sideways figure of 8. In one loop, place you. In the other loop, place your entire life. All the things you could do, experience, become. And right where the loop crosses in the middle, that's money. Money isn't the end goal, it's the crossing point, the connector between you and the life you want to live. Write down all of the things you love doing, the work, the hobbies, the activities that light you up. Then, be honest, add the things you love that you aren't actually making time for at the moment. the ignored desires, the forgotten joys. Now write down what you actually spend your time and money on. What do you pour your heartbeats into in order to obtain money? Where do your hours and energy really go? And then, gently, honestly, cross out the time wasters, the things you don't enjoy that don't bring in money, and the things you spend money on that don't bring you joy. You don't have to be brutal or punishing or judgmental, just be clear. This is about reclaiming your energy and directing it more consciously. From there, you can begin to build a list of how you want to spend your heartbeats bringing in money. Is there enough space for creativity? Is there room for invention, play, experimentation? Because creativity is where money is born. And please don't feel guilty for enjoying the money you have. If you've got what you need for your essentials, there's nothing wrong with feeling delighted when new things arrive at your door. That joy is part of why we're here. It's not about never spending, it's about spending from a place of awareness and enoughness rather than from guilt and fear. This is where cash flow and practicality come in. Money loves long-term objectives. There's a kind of quiet magic that happens when you hold a clear vision and combine it with grounded numbers. I love the quote from Napoleon Hill: "If you do not see great riches in your imagination, you will never see them in your bank balance." Ambition isn't something to be ashamed of. If you have big money goals, own them, increase them. Let yourself admit what you really want without immediately shutting it down or saying, "Oh, I'd never be able to achieve that." Because here's the caveat. The magic doesn't land if your inner container can't hold it. This is where the idea of a money container comes in. Think of your money container as the level of income or wealth your nervous system currently feels safe receiving. If you're, say, at a £30,000 a year salary and you want to jump straight to imagining £5 million a year, notice what your body does. Does it tense up? Do you get a little knot in your stomach? That tightening is your container saying, "I'm not ready for that. I don't believe I'm worthy." But if you imagine shifting from, say, 30,000 to 50,000, then to 70,000, then to maybe 100,000, and your body softens, or even feels quietly excited, then that's closer to where your current container sits. This is why big quantum leaps are rare. Most of us grow our money confidence step by step. 30,000, then 50,000, then 100,000, then 500,000, then beyond. Each time you expand, you look back and realize what once seemed huge now seems normal or even small. If your inner container is at one level and you keep asking for far beyond that without doing the inner work, you'll unconsciously sabotage yourself or negotiate down because energetic misalignment is hard to hide. People feel your discomfort. They sense when you don't quite believe you're worth what you're asking for. So your work isn't to hammer harder at more money. Your work is to expand your container and deepen your self-worth. You can literally sit with a number and track your body's response. How does it feel to earn X? What about X plus a little bit more? What about X plus a little bit more and then a little bit more than that? When does my body start tensing? That tension line is the edge of your current container. Your job is to gently move that edge over time. How? By working on your beliefs, your self-talk, your nervous system, your inner loyalty to yourself. By reminding yourself daily, if needed, I am enough, I am worthy, I deserve good things, I deserve ease. 5 minutes a day of this is not fluff. It literally rewires your brain. It shifts you from chronic flight or fight into safety, more creativity, more openness to receive. So again, work on your money container, work on what you offer, the value you bring, the problems you solve, the beauty you create. But don't obsessively work on money. Money itself isn't the thing. Remember, it doesn't exist as a standalone entity. It's a reflection of all these other pieces aligning. And here's a reframe that can actually change things. Nobody on this planet actually wants money. Not one single person. We think we do, but what we're actually after are the feelings and experiences that money can help facilitate. Security, empowerment, ease, adventure, comfort, power, beauty, contribution, freedom. A home that feels safe, work that feels meaningful, time with people we love, rest, peace. So if you say, I want a house, you don't really want bricks and plaster. You want how that house makes you feel. Secure, rooted, nurtured, proud. Get clear on these feelings first. Let yourself know what you truly want to feel in your life. Then from that place you can ask more practical questions. What level of income supports those experiences? What would I love to create or offer that could support that level of income? And this is where we bring in a simple 3-part practical structure. Number 1, survive. Work out what you genuinely need to cover your basics. Food, shelter, warmth, non-negotiable essentials. For some people, a phone or a regular haircut is a basic. For others, it isn't. Be honest about your basics, not what you think they should be, what they are actually for you. 2, thrive. Then add in what you need to live well. A few holidays, a nicer car, a brighter home, support for your health, tools for your creativity. The things that help you feel like you're truly living, not just surviving. Then 3, the cherry on top of life. Now, without censoring yourself, layer on the wildest, most delicious dreams. The if nothing was off limits list. Write them down. Don't share them with anyone. Other people will judge or belittle your hopes. This part is sacred. It belongs to you and your imagination. If you can't allow yourself to see riches in your mind, you'll never create the conditions for them in your reality. Will it arrive overnight? Probably not. But that's not the point. The point is to enjoy the journey of growing into the person who can hold these things, emotionally, energetically, and practically. So finally, treat money like a friend, like someone you enjoy spending time with. Check in with it, play with it, make plans together. Money loves being around people who want to play, people who are open, light-hearted, creative. Not people who are tight with fear, shame, or grim seriousness. If you show up heavy, hard, and exhausted, most humans won't want to trade with you. And money moves through humans. So cultivate joy. Let yourself be playful. Bring your best energy into your exchanges, even if life feels tough behind the scenes. You don't have to fake happiness, but you can choose to soften, to be open, and to be kind to yourself and to others. The more you treat money as friendly, neutral, a companion on this journey, rather than a judge, a god, or a monster, the more confident and relaxed you'll feel in its presence. And that, more than anything, changes how much of it you will be able to hold. So, if money is a tool, if it is a relationship, if it is a reflection of how we use our heartbeats, the next question is, how do we actually live with it differently? One of the most simple shifts you can make is to invite in more play. Most people grip life very tightly. We grip our goals, we grip our fears, we grip our bank balance. We get terribly serious about getting it right. But money responds far better to playfulness than to panic. You can even try this in gentle meditation. Close your eyes and imagine money as a presence sitting in front of you. Not as a stack of notes or numbers on a screen, but as a friendly energy, and ask, how can I loosen my grip? How can I be less serious, more joyful, more playful with my life and with you, dear money? See what answers emerge. Because money is quite happy to follow you into a life that is lighter, more curious, more fun, more creative, more inventive. No one needs your drama. No one needs more pressure. We all just need more flow. And speaking of flow, let's address something very practical. What actually makes a business or a person go bankrupt? We often talk about overspending, mismanagement, misalignment, bad decisions, and yes, those all play a part. But the core reason, almost every time, is very practical and very simple. They run out of cash. Not money in theory, not assets on paper, but actual cash in the bank when the bills are due. That flow, cash in, cash out, is the lifeblood of a business. It's also the lifeblood of your personal finances. Money will move through your life, your entire life, all the time. It will come in and it will go out again and again and again. You cannot stop the movement, but you can feel very different about it. You can feel aligned, depending on whether you feel in control of the flow or constantly surprised by it. And this is where cash flow comes in. Cash flow is the simple practice of looking ahead and asking, what's in my bank balance right now? What do I know is going to flow into my bank balance in income? What do I know that is going to go out in expenses? And therefore what is likely to be in my bank at the end of the month, and then the next month, and the month after that. Most of your outgoings are actually very predictable. Rent or mortgage, utilities, food, basic spending patterns of subscriptions, car costs, maybe kids' activities. There'll be the occasional surprise like the car breaking down, but 80 to 90% of outflow is fairly consistent. Income might be more variable, especially if you're self-employed, but even then there are patterns. Retained clients, invoices due, expected sales, regular payments from platforms or contracts. A cash flow forecast isn't a rigid budget. It isn't about punishing yourself. It's a living map. You start with, this is what I have in the bank today. Then you add what you expect to come in over the next month. You subtract what is expected to go out, and you see what's left. And then you roll that forward. If I continue doing exactly what I'm doing, where will I likely be in 3 months, in a year, in 3 years? And sometimes the answer is confronting. You might realise if I keep going like this, I'll barely have more than I have now. And that's without holidays or unexpected expenses, or the dream life that I have always wanted. Or, if I do nothing differently, I'm going to hit a wall in 6 months. That moment of clarity isn't there to scare you, it's there to give you power. Because once you see it in advance, you can do something about it. You can change your strategy, increase your prices, create a new offer, take on additional work for a short season, arrange short-term support like a loan with a clearer plan, change job if that job isn't paying you enough, or, equally importantly, recognise when you can relax a little. A cash flow forecast doesn't remove every challenge. Life will still bring surprises. But it takes away the blind panic of I have no idea where this is going, what's coming in, and replaces it with I can see the shape of what's coming and now I can choose to respond. And that shift from reaction to response reduces fear dramatically. It gives you control, it gives you confidence. It also changes your focus. Instead of staring at I don't have enough, you start asking, what do I need to do to bridge the gap? What needs to change in how I work, charge, or show up? You move out of helplessness and resentment into agency, into empowerment. One simple spreadsheet is enough. 1 column for each month. Row 1, opening bank balance. Then rows for income, rows for expenses, a row for the closing bank balance. Check reality at the end of the month. Learn from any differences and update the next month. Over time, this becomes a quiet, powerful ritual, you and money having a regular, honest conversation. This is exactly the same principle I have used to run huge companies and fix tiny one-person businesses that have been in financial distress. The scale changes, the concept doesn't. And this is also how you give yourself a buffer, a bit of breathing space. Not savings in the strict sense, if that word makes you tense, but a play fund, a cushion that means you can experiment, rest a little, or cope with surprise expenses without going straight into crisis. From there, you can start to see clearly. If I stay where I am, I will never reach that 200,000 or that million or whatever my dream number is. So you ask yourself the better questions. What would I need to change in order to get there? Not in a panicked way, but in a creative way. Cash flow is empowerment. It gives you control, insight, future vision, predictability even when the prediction is uncomfortable. And most importantly, it gives you choices. You stop letting money control you with surprise and fear. You start steering the relationship with awareness and intention. So I want you to begin thinking of money as a new best friend, the one that is actually going to be with you for your entire life, longer than partners, longer than jobs, longer than any single phase of your story. Best friends need regular contact but not obsession. You don't need to check your balance every hour. You just need to stay in gentle, consistent relationship with it. And be careful who you talk to about money. Not everyone has the emotional maturity or self-awareness to handle those conversations well. Some people project their fear, their judgment, their scarcity straight onto you, and that can knock your confidence if you're not grounded. If you want to talk about money, talk to money. Talk to people who are willing to be honest and non-judgmental. Come back to spaces and teachings that remind you money is a tool, not a verdict. To close this podcast, I'd love to leave you with a couple of questions to take into your journal or quiet time. What beliefs about your right to have more money have shifted, even slightly, from listening to this? What is one small practical thing you will do differently from today to grow your money confidence? Maybe it's starting a simple cash flow sheet. Maybe it's 5 minutes a day of I am enough. Maybe it's finally pricing your work at a level that feels fair in your body. Remember, you're not here to chase money. You're here to create, to trade, to grow, to experience, to love, to live, to feel. Money is just the friend that walks beside you while you do it, and it's allowed to be a good friend. So let's bring this together. Money is a tool. It's a practical system created by humans to make trade easier. It isn't self-worth, it isn't identity, and it isn't a measure of who you are. You create money by adding value through knowledge, skills, creativity, ideas, and the energy you're willing to apply. That's where money comes from. And once you can see that clearly, you stop chasing money itself and start focusing on the exchange between you and other people. Money becomes emotional only when we link it to our value as a person. When you separate those two things, when you work on your self-worth internally and your pricing and negotiations externally, everything becomes much clearer and much easier to manage. Your income grows when your money container grows, meaning the level of income you believe you're allowed to hold. That increases through emotional work, practical skills, and gradually expanding what feels possible to you. And finally, cash flow is one of the strongest tools you can use. Not a budget, a simple, moving picture of what's coming in, what's going out, and what that means for the month ahead. It reduces fear, increases control, and gives you the ability to make decisions before problems appear. If you take anything from this episode, let it be this. Work on the exchange, work on your container, work on your self-worth, and understand your cash flow. Those 4 things can change everything. Thank you so much for being here with me today. If you feel anyone would enjoy or benefit from this podcast, do please share it. And please like, subscribe, and I'll see you for the next episode.